Hi everyone. I'm just is Diane. Hi Martine Ruth. Is everyone hearing me? Chloe, hi. Is everyone hearing me okay? Yeah? Hi Daddy, huh? Great. Hey Pam, I missed your tour today because I was told to put my phone away. So hi Marcia, nice to see you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hi there. Lovely to have everyone here. Hey Lori, how's it going? Hi Joanne. Um, Pam, by the way, let's talk a little business. Everyone, by the way, thank you. This is my shirt that I'm really happy with traveling. Hi, good evening, everyone. Um, Pam from Banff is here, and I happen to be from Banff too. Hey, Susie. So, um, but Pam, I put up a tour on the 13th. So if you can be home, let's go see the Christmas train pull in, the holiday train. So if you're home, that'd be good. There's a bug. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Amazon. Welcome back to Iquitos. This is a sunset tour, and I was really I actually had to say thanks, Marty. Nice to see you. I had this whole big plan that I was going to go up to where the river, the Nanai, which is around back here, pours into the Amazon. And then I was told emphatically, do not go there carrying a phone and a gimbal. So instead, I didn't go there. So instead, I have come up top. You see the water behind me? Okay, that's the Talai River, which is also flowing into the Amazon itself. Bonsoir tout le monde. But seeing as how, oh, come on, come back, come back. Look at that now. Hey, Robert, nice to see you, buddy. So I'm up on the top floor of this restaurant, Bar Bonsoir Hélène, at the Malecon. Hi, Faith. Renan, un abrazo, amigo. Asoka, hi there. Hey, everyone. We have Pam here and we have Renan. I'm already missing Renan and Paula. In fact, oh, you're welcome, Judy. It's lovely. I'm so happy to have you here for your birthday with me. Such a treat. Now, let's see if the clouds keep moving out here. Sorry, it's jumping by on me a little bit here. Hey, Susan, hi there. Um, Oh, hey, Aaron and Patrick. Well, interestingly enough, I mean, they've become real friends. I chat with Patrick quite often. It's nice of them to say that. I, Patrick and I have been chatting on and off during my trip here. I think it must be kind of a Patrick unity thing that we have. But have a look at that view out there. So the clouds have just moved in. Hola, amigo. So yeah, I gather a lot of you are just coming from New York City. It's lovely to have you here. So let me say a quick hello. I don't want to take the views away from you, but in case you haven't met me before, my name's Patrick Toomey. I live not here at all. Now, my earlier joke is, you know this? That's a fish out of water. That's what I am here. I am down in the jungle. Now, 2 days ago with Raynan, who is here, we were at 5,300 meters, 17,500 feet above sea level. Then I flew out of the highest airport in the world and down to Lima. And then yesterday I flew over here. Um, yeah, it's sweaty. But then I have cream on too. And I am down in the state of Loreto, the province of Loreto, in the country of Peru. About 13% of the Amazon is in Peru here. And so I am in the largest city in the world that cannot be accessed by road. It looks so different, yes. So it's if you can scan it on the map, you'll see where I am. But we're just watching the light come across the sky here. It's very, very flat. And I'm up here. Oh, hold on one second. I just want to show you this. There is a float plane coming in. Now, that's not quite truly the Amazon, but I'm in the Amazon here. There's a float plane just making its way in down here right now. See it? There you go. So that is coming into the port here. But don't worry, I'm going to show you the Amazon as well, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm up here in this. Yes, that's very great. So for those who are unfamiliar, we had a coup yesterday here in Peru. The president was overthrown. He tried to dissolve Congress, and then he told his bodyguards to take him to the Mexican embassy where he was going to claim asylum. His bodyguards gave up on him and stopped. And now his vice president, base, not quite the same thing, has taken over. And you know what? I would do a full 1 hour talk about the history of all of this. Basically, if you're president of Peru, you're one step away from prison. That's true of the last 3 or 4. Nevertheless, he's gone, and Peru has its first female president, which is kind of a cool thing. That's right, Jen. Well, yeah, he wanted to dissolve the parliament. It wasn't the Constitution so much. By the way, check out this bar, right? Look at this. They've got a swimming pool. And I didn't realize this. I came up here for a little dinner last night, but not to the top. Yeah, the kids have a soccer field down there. Um, Amazing that that wasn't on the news there yesterday. But what we were talking about earlier, and someone made a good joke about it. So the last time I was here, of course, I lived in Peru. I lived in Cusco for a year. But the last time I was here, hey, Gail, I was here running a tour, and I've got to come back. The whole point of tonight is the sunset. So let me just give you some sunsetting here. Thanks, Jennifer. Look at that. So the last time I was up here, I was running a tour. Hey, Sayuri, hola. Oh, we have Sayuri and Renan and Pam. See all my friends are here tonight to come and play. So the last time I was up here, I was up in Puno on Lake Titicaca, and all of a sudden, I wasn't able to get into Bolivia because, as Renan knows, they had overthrown the government of Evo Morales, and so I had to reroute. And so I've come back to Peru, and they had a coup while I was here. Now, all that noted, there's about 500,000 people living here in Iquitos. It is warm, but not unbearable. Say, just as you can see, it's a little sweaty, but it's nice, heavy air. Um, is that right? But all around back, what you're not going to see from here. So we're up in the northeast. Stephanie, is it your brother's 50th? Is he here today? Because I'll sing for him if he's here. But we're up in the northeast of Peru, in the biggest province. We always think of Peru as being Cusco, Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca, all the highlands. I'm not in the highlands at all. Remember, if you look at a map of South America, you're going to see one big lake, Lake Titicaca. Unlike if you look at a map of North America, of course, you see the Great Lakes. We're always taught there's 5. There's actually 4. Yeah, I can tilt up a bit more. There we go. But I've got a bit of a roof right above me, so that's why I'm not going too high here. Hey, salut, Katsi, bonjour. From Maui. Hi, Jen. So I'm looking obviously to the west there. So if we went to the west, you take a boat for about 4 days and you'd get to Terapoto. And then Terapoto is the first city where you have road access here in Peru. And then you get up to Cajamarca, up and over the mountains, the Andes, and down into Piura, the north of Peru. Once you get into the Andes, of course, the Andes is the longest mountain range in the world, and that's where, of course, Raynan and I were hanging out just the other day. Well, Raynan lives up there, lucky fellow. By the way, I want to tell everyone that I went to Raynan and Paula's house for lunch, for a delicious Andean lunch. And I've had so much energy today because I've got big lungs from being up in the mountains. But basically, if you imagine a map all the way from Colombia to the north, to Ecuador, to Peru, to Bolivia, and then down, of course, into the Cono Sur, into Argentina and Chile. That changes you have this huge kind of rounded, hold on, Joanne, this whole rounded area of all these Andes, and all that drainage is coming down into this one Amazon basin. Look at the light up behind me. And that's why this is the biggest, most powerful river in the world. And it drains this gigantic area of the glaciers up there. The science behind it's incredible. The greatest biodiversity on the whole planet. In fact, because it's sunset, if anyone happens to have a drink, I'm having a Pilsen. Cheers to everyone. Now, listen, Robert, is it Louise's birthday today? Because if it is Louise's birthday, I have personally, santé merci, I have actually met Louise in person. And so as we say, for all our Canadians on board, we could all sing together, Jean de pays, c'est à ton tour de te laisser parler d'amour. Hey, Louise, big hugs to you. And it's not that fancy. It's a Pilsen, which comes from Callao, which is the province, of course, of Lima. So the temperature now, today it was up at about 29 Celsius. That's about 85 Fahrenheit. But keep in mind, 100% humidity, right? And it's Joanne's birthday, Fanny. That's lovely. No, big hugs, Louise. It's lovely to see you here. I say, everyone, I've met Louise in person several times. Lovely, kind, wonderful mom. And so... No, Molson Canadian, no, Viv. I come from the west of Canada. No, and you know what they call a beer belly in Canada, right? It's a Molson muscle. Now have a look down here. So there they are playing soccer. This is the World Cup done style. Now tomorrow, now this is where, actually, you know what? I can probably make it over now. Oh, is Ms. Puma here? Is Elizabeth here? You're welcome. Ça fait plaisir chanter. Now, a bunch of people sitting out here in the distance. You see, I'm up on this plateau up here. Elizabeth. So, again, for other people, and I want a big hug to my friends Patrick and Aaron, who said come over here. Obviously, I'm Canadian, but we're all guides from the Americas, Patrick and Aaron and all of us. So Elizabeth is in Arequipa. That's the second city of Peru, way south of here and high up. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous city. And then Reynan's up in Bolivia, lucky fellow. And then Vanessa, of course, is in Lima. And Mike is in Cusco, and I hung out with Mike a couple weeks. So now there's the church, 1919. And here we are. There, what a gorgeous sky to share with everyone tonight. Now, obviously, Iquitos is, we do, and I actually left a message for Vanessa earlier. I'm going to try and catch up with her when I'm back. I'm only back for a day in Lima. Um, but obviously, here's the sun setting way off the distance. You can see their soccer stadium. You can see the lights on. There might even be a game on tonight out in the distance there. It is beautiful. But again, 500,000 people, the greater area, if you piece it all together, you get nearly 1 million people. Now, the economy here boomed from 1880 to 1914, which was the rubber industry. Now, all the way back to Christopher Columbus, he took rubber back with him. Of course, rubber trees all through here. That was a form of sort of, well, servitude of the indigenous people. There's three main linguistic groups that lived here for thousands of years. The word Iquitos is actually from a group here from Iquitos. Joan, we have a wonderful, wonderful family here, and it has been my honor to come down here and hang out with some of my friends here. Again, for example, Elizabeth Puma, we were friends before, hey, Annie, thank you, before even Hago. And so when I got onto Hago, I called Elizabeth right away. And there's our beloved Sairi. I just want to show you the top of this building. I showed this on the walking tour I did earlier today. See, this is now the headquarters of the military and the Navy here. And the Navy is important because, remember, no road access. But that was built in 1908 as the fancy hotel for all of mostly the European owners of the rubber industry that was here extracting rubber, which of course was used so much during that later industrial revolution. So that's kind of the significance of the economy. So you see the tile work. There's 80 buildings that are kind of listed as historic buildings here. Now, after I finished the earlier tour today, I went down to the Belém market. In fact, I can show you in the distance, which is on the edge of what you could sort of describe as a shanty town in the distance there. And now, why it's a shanty town, I say this, is they're palafito houses. They're built on stilts. And that's because the water level comes up here, and we're moving into the rainy season, little by little. And as we move into the rainy season, all of this floodplain will start to flood. Where are you? Is that right, pal? I didn't know you'd been here before. It's great. Yeah, this is only the second time in my life that I've been here. Hi, Eileen. Or as we say, come on, Eileen. Only the second time I've been here, and I think Hayward. And I've been, of course, down in the Puerto Maldonado. So I've been in the Amazon several times. I find it just so fascinating. And I wouldn't presume to go out and start to describe the forestry the way I do at home in the Canadian Rockies, because, of course, I'm trained in all that. Here, this biodiversity is so incredible. I was saying earlier today that at one time I was in Puerto Maldonado, we literally put a cup into the river, pulled it out, and good question, Barbara. A good question. I think about that. And just in one little thing, there is just teeming with life. And that's the whole point here. And tomorrow I'm going to go out on the river all day. And thanks, Pamela. What I'm going to be looking for is everything, of course. I'm going to look for sloths because everyone has to love a sloth, as they call them in Spanish, perezoso. Is that right? It has grown since then, absolutely. But also I will be looking for river dolphins. Now, river dolphins are these pink dolphins, and they run where the rivers come together. T&J hugs to you both. I didn't even see you here. And when the two rivers come together, they fish along those lines. So I'm just going to come over here for a second. Everyone's so polite and friendly here. Oh yeah, when we see river dolphins is like a treat. So let's go over here. I don't like to stick the camera right in people's faces. But you will see, obviously, this place is a little rundown. Ken, if you were here in 79, look at that building. I don't know if that was asbestos. I don't know what the story is behind that. But again, about 13% of the Amazon's here. We're 1,400 kilometers from Manaus, the main capital of the Amazon in Brazil, right? And then, of course, another, I think, 500 or 600 kilometers to get out to the Atlantic Ocean. So we are 2,000 kilometers, 1,400 miles from the ocean, yet we're on, of course, the biggest river network in the world. Have a look out there. That is actually the Amazon River in the distance right there. That's where the Nanay and the Tale come together and create this point with the Amazon itself. And the Amazon is floating in the direction that I'm showing you right now. So that's exact. Thank you, Paula. Thank you very much, Paula. brilliant, brilliant person. So, in terms, Paula was asking me earlier today about the economic activities here. I'll show you one of them: casinos. um, yeah, we use the term as they do in Brazil, favela, the informal sort of housing. This place has historically been considered fairly poor, but again, when you're in these places with a sort of tropical environment, and I mean it is heavy tropical environment, it does take a toll on buildings and all of that. That's just the nature of the beast a little bit. Um, so it is pretty unique from that point of view, but it does take a toll. But here we are with the sky. I got into after dark last night, so I took a little bit of a chance putting up a sunset tonight, but I really wanted to. And look, by the way, they have an actual sightseeing tour over there. So I almost took you all out for a drive. So because there's no road access here, about 80% of the vehicles on the road are motorbikes or these moto taxis. They're super noisy. Like when I did the tour today, I didn't have my headphones in just because the buzz, the sound of it was just so deafening. But that said, I was going to take you on a moto taxi tour tonight, and then I thought, I don't know if you'd hear me, but maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I might do one tomorrow evening when I'm back. Oh, it's a pleasure, Robert. It's such a treat to bring everyone here. Originally, when I came back here to South America on this trip, I was coming, no cars, Barbara, because they have to come in on barges. There's, again, largest city in the world with no road access. So 3 or 4 days up the Tarapoto one way. If you go the other way, it's 3 days, according to the naval officer I was chatting with today, to get down to Letizia. Letizia is in Colombia. Have a look at it on a map because that's where all the emerald mining is. And that's another interesting and pretty complicated story. No problem, Laura. Pretty complicated story. And that's where we have Colombia, Brazil, and Peru all come together. So, yeah, up behind Coca, up in that area. And also, I think it's fair to say, Elizabeth, at La Pasaraya, in the border between Cusco and Puno, you see those glaciers up there, and there's not much ice left. But what melts down, because that's the headwater of two river systems, one that flows down to Cusco and the other into Lake Titicaca, but down the back of it is starts to flow into this great Amazon system. And if you talk about beautiful Ecuador, again, a country I just love, and we have Steffi over there, of course. When you're in that gorgeous place as well, it drains into the Amazon, but they don't actually have the full Amazon because they have the higher elevation. Look at this sky. This is what I was hoping for. Sort of tropical sunset. Here are the colors. And I know it's pretty rough out here in this town. Now, everyone is friendly. Those of you who joined me on the tour earlier today, a couple stopped on their bike and just said, listen, don't walk with your stabilizer. My gimbal, they call it a stabilizer. Don't walk with that in your phone any further. And then again, when I was walking around the Belém market, which is the largest tropical market, at least in the Americas, earlier today, it was very interesting. Saw tons of the vultures around, and all sorts of fish being dried and salted. And that's, I think, was interesting. But a gentleman just very quietly said to me, turn around, don't walk any further down that way. And again, I'm not at all worried for my personal safety, zero. But, I am carrying, of course, an iPhone 13, which is worth whatever, $1,500. I mean, it's a lot of money to be carrying around. And so that's why today, originally, my plan for this evening was to go up to the harbor where the rivers all come together. And they said to me pretty emphatically, don't do it. Don't do it tonight. Well, I'm sorry you were stuck in traffic, Robert, because it was a fun tour. And also, we met a fellow on the street who gave us the winning numbers for the lotto, but I guess that's already come and gone. So sorry you missed that, buddy. Now, I'm the only one up here, which is pretty fun to have. And this is Pirates doing stuff. Hey, Google the song sometime by the Arrogant Worms, Pirates. This is Pirates of Saskatchewan. That's a really good one. So it's an old Canadian song. You're welcome, Barb. It's my honor. Yes, for those of you I haven't met before, I'm coming towards the end of a trip here. You know it, and I've been up mostly climbing and hiking high mountains up in the Andes. And just because, it'll stay warm all night, Clay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll have air conditioning on the room the whole night, promise. And so so then it's just some of the travel is just still, as things are reactivating, as they say here, in terms of tourism. I just thought, well, the effort of getting all the way down to southern Bolivia, which was originally my goal, was a little hard. So I said, okay, I'll come back to Lima and I'll come back here to Iquitos. So I was here, I think it's 18 years ago. Thanks, Ruth. And then I was in Puerto Maldonado a few times. So, I mean, coming into Amazon's fascinating, and I learned so much. So tomorrow I'm doing a full day out. No, it's a tour, but a full day out on a boat in the river. And if I can get a video of any river dolphins or anything, I will totally um, totally do that. Helen, I hope so. You know, it was so much fun to promote Bolivia. There's so much to see here. Thank you very much. Um, yes, of course. So everyone, well, Raynan, because you've mentioned it, so I had left a message for Raynan just before this tour because, of course, I've gotten to know him and his family very well. This is the 1 year anniversary of Raynan losing his mom, and they have a celebration in Bolivia for that. So, so a big warm hug. To Renan and the family. And I know what it's like because I still miss my dad every single day. So big hugs to you, my friend. Un abrazo para todos. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your contributions here. So again, I haven't, yeah, absolutely. I haven't been on this trip to, I've been mostly doing tours with my friends on their platforms. But every now and then it's fun to bring you all out here. I do wish that I had a few spare gimbals just to give away to people because wouldn't it be fun to meet someone here and say to them, hey, come on, Hagel, come show us. Because again, it would take a long time to learn where you get reception out in the rivers. Now you see the lights are coming on at night. Now I'm not putting the camera down because people is that right, Dev? Well, hugs to you too. Isn't it amazing? And this is this wonderful sort of fellowship that we've built together. So this is called a Malecon. Hey, thanks, Robert. Malecon's the waterfront walks that you have. My favorite Malecon, I'd be open to this. My favorite Malecon in all of South America is the one in Guayaquil in Ecuador. It's just so much fun down there. This one's quite short, and there's the Artisania Market, which I took you through earlier today, the handicraft markets in there. Um, and boom, now because we're in the tropics, right? now Paula wants a Jaguar view, and I don't blame her for that. But then Paula was the one who told me that bighorn sheep didn't exist, and then all of a sudden, bighorn sheep do exist. Oh. Let me just come up around the corner here. Hola, ¿cómo está bien? Espectacular el cielo, ¿eh? Estoy haciendo un tour en vivo. Sí, me están chateando, preguntando cosas y todo. Sí, sí. ¿Quieres saludar? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Hola, me llamo Rafael. Un saludo.
This is Rafael. ¿Y vienes de aquí?
Sí, de aquí. ¿Tú trabajas acá?
Ella gentleman works right here. Hey, geez. Saluda, amigo. Rafael. Hi, geez. So this is a tropical sunset out here. If I see an anaconda, say I did see an anaconda once in Puerto Maldonado, came up and out of the water whilst I was canoeing. Do you know one of the cool things about people out in the water here? Hey, Marlene, one of the cool things is that when they're out, mostly fishing, they have these sort of dugout canoes. They're really logical, of course. They sit in the very front of them, and the canoe is tipped up. I'm just going to put my beer down. It was the most peculiar thing I've seen when I first saw it. So as they're in their dugout, just a slight curve to the canoes, and they sit the very front, so the canoe sits tipped up like that, and they're just paddling on very calm water, obviously not where there's current. And I remember eventually asking, so well, this way it doesn't have any shadow to it, and the shadow's at the back, so the fish actually move towards the front. It's hey, Francisca, fascinating stuff, and of course how people have adapted to living in these environments. It's brilliant, but it's just such a learning. Do you know I was with the tour group one time, and I remember pointing it out to someone, and she said to me, "Oh, they're still learning." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. We're still learning. People have lived in the Amazon for thousands of years. These are some of the most isolated, least contacted places." Thanks, Marilyn. Um, oh, yeah, yeah. And of course, many of these people have become just incredible advocates for climate change and because they're affected by it, but they're not causing it. Nevertheless, I don't want to hide the fact I love this continent and I learned so much here, and I spent a huge part of my last 20 years in South America. But I mean, you do see this sort of reality as well, which is really challenging. The fact now, I don't go in for those comments that all the governments are falling all the time. Thanks, Fiona. But recently, of course, all the cracks in the systems were laid bare during the pandemic, which was, of course, an extremely difficult time for everyone. Here in Peru, the healthcare system virtually collapsed. I was just so impressed in Bolivia, for example, to see how many people still walk around with masks on. Reynan and his family, when the kids came out, they had masks on to go out because, of course, they don't necessarily have the confidence the system is going to work for them. So those are challenges. Now, a lot of what you see here, you see a lot of police. Now, I was wondering whether I'm seeing more than normal because of the coup yesterday, but quite a big military presence because, of course, this is all part of the territorial independence and management of the environment for Peru, of course, a huge area, Loreto. And there's a huge amount of wealth in here that's gradually being exposed. Now, some of it's timber, which, of course, is heavily debated about deforesting areas in the Amazon, and that's a really fair question. There's gold and minerals all through. As I say, if you Google Leticia there in Colombia, then you start to see a big hugs, Margaret, um, and you'll see that area. That's all emerald mining, which is pretty interesting, but pretty tough conditions as well. Now tomorrow I'm going to be covered in not sunblock. I'm going to have long pants, long sleeves, the whole bit hat. So I'll stay out of the mosquitoes that way. Thanks, Michael. Amazing mineral wealth. Yeah, I'll be staying out, but really I'm going to have bug repellent on. There is, thanks, Kalina. There is all sorts of malaria here. In fact, when we were living in Cusco back in 2013-14, I didn't bring Finn down here because he was only 7, and the numbers. Thanks, Marcia. The amount of malaria has increased in this area. Now, even though we're technically in the rainy season, yeah. Well, so the Zika one, Martine, I had that. Luckily, I wasn't pregnant at the time, but I had that in El Salvador. Thanks, Andy. I do too, but yeah, the dengue is a real. So really, you have 2 ways to go. I mean, when you take the anti-malarial medicines, um, sure, I certainly can. Let me just zoom in for you there. When you take that stuff, it's really hard on the body, those ones. So, here, because I'm only a couple of days, I'm just going to have myself with bug repellent all over me and long sleeves. Here, let's just try and zoom in a little bit out there. See how flat this land is here. And again, whenever I think of these Andean countries, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Colombia, I think of the mountains. Oh, how does sound? Look at that sky. But of course, out here in these flatlands, do you know just to the south of us is a state in Brazil called Acre, and that was actually a trade-off. It was almost a war, and it was a trade-off between Bolivia during the rubber times and the Brazilians. And if you went to Acre, it's a small state, but a huge number of people say, "Oh, you would know." With blonde hair, blue eyes, a huge amount of German investment, not the 1945 German investment, but much earlier that came over because of the rubber there. He knows. Have a look at that sky up there. So isn't that gorgeous? So I think I hadn't really set out to make this as full of information as a tour here. Yeah, well, the monkeys. What I really want to see, though, I have to say, I mean, river dolphins #1, but I love seeing sloths. I mean, you're welcome, Abe. It is fascinating, and again, I'm actually just by the main square. In fact, thanks, Eleanor. Thank you again. I saw you really big. There's a star on top of their Christmas tree, and you see images of like a bundled up Santa. I'm like, nobody wants to be a bundled up Santa in this climate. Yeah, pink river dolphins, Joanne. It is just, as I say, I have seen them, and it's just a thing in your life that you really have to see. The way to do this, by the way, and I will in a couple of days' time when I'm back, my very last day in Lima, do a little bit of a travel in Peru talk. But the way to do this for a lot of people really is to fly in. You can go to a lodge, but it's one of the few times, I'm not a big cruise person, but it's one of a few times that I think some of these boat trips do make sense. Now, some of them can be very expensive, but you go on these, that's a barge, but you go on these boats for 4 or 5 days right up the river, and you see just so much biodiversity. And remember, these are the lungs of our planet. And so that's why it's pretty important. Isn't it? The light is just lovely right now. Yeah. Yeah. Talking about those perezosos, the sloths. Is that right? Yeah, they're quite strong, aren't they? But as I say, there's this place that I used to stop when I used to run tours to Costa Rica, and we'd always see this mommy with her baby on the back, which was lovely. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting dark, and I don't want to be out with this expensive camera and gimbal, so I'm gonna finish on time. So I do want to thank everyone for coming here with me. I'm gonna go downstairs and get a little bite to eat. Loud music, but then of course we're here, and that's sort of fun. So I do want to thank you all for coming and joining me. A big hug to all of my friends and fellow guides who are here, and a big hug to Aaron and Patrick as well, who were on just before me because they're lovely gentlemen. And we're all friends. It is stunning, isn't it? So I want to say, as always, peace and love. Thank you so much for your support, everyone. For anyone who can, if you can't, you're still very welcome here. But for those who can, obviously it helps to pay for some of my travels. I'm not trying to cover the costs or anything doing this, but it's nice to keep engaged with everyone. So thank you, Diane. So I'm not gonna. Well, we'll see. Thanks, buddy. I maybe put up a last minute tour tomorrow, depending on reception out on the river. But otherwise, I'm gonna head back to Lima day after tomorrow, and then I'll have a day there. And I promise you, the morning of the 11th, I'm gonna work out for hours in Lima because then I have to fly all the way to Montreal and all the way across to Calgary. But I am getting pretty ready to get home and see the family too. So thanks, Adrian. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that gorgeous sky. Here we are at sunset in the Amazon. What a place. What a treat to share this with all of you. Elizabeth, un abrazo. Saibori, un abrazo. Big hugs to you. I'll see you at home in a few days. There we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, cheers. Have a lovely, lovely evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And just think of me here. If you haven't Googled it, Google where Iquitos is on the map, and you'll see just how totally isolated this is. Hour 45 flight from Lima. So, un gran abrazo a todos. Buenas noches. Nos vemos lo más pronto posible. Hasta luego. Tu chiscama.